Just talk about how it feels to be back out on the court again after almost a year.
Oh my God, Mike, let me tell you what, it feels great. And it came from a situation where we didn't think we were going to have this opportunity. And so, like any other surprise, it's just one of those things where all of a sudden we heard about a board meeting where they were going to discuss it, and it was just like, oh, really? But nobody is getting up because we miss football, we miss sports. We haven't played anything since last March. And then all of a sudden it was so easily and quickly approved. And then it was just simply like, hey, you guys are back. Let's pull it back together. And I'm thinking, like that, And so, I literally made a plan to go to the homes, even with COVID. I'm standing outside and I'm passing in forms to get the antigen tests and all of those things, and getting with the guys, letting them know that I'll be contacting them online so that we could have like a quick Google Meet or something like that and talk about what we're trying to do. We didn't have a tryout. We just brought all the returners back from last year and added a handful of underclassmen. And man, it feels like, well, we had 5 days of practice and we played the other day, and we took the day off yesterday because we didn't have the opportunity to get all our antigen testing done, so we just waited. And so today, we got some information that said we need to play 4 contests to meet the standard of the 4 contest rule to play in the state tournament. But we only had 3 contests. And coincidentally, Orchard View had an opponent where there was some COVID situations took place, and I got a call from Leroy, and all of a sudden it just kind of worked out for the both of us. So we were able to get our 4th contest. They were able to get an opponent in place of the opponent that, where the COVID situation put them in quarantine for 2 weeks. So I tell you what, for a seemingly stressful day, it all kind of came together. And as far as our play, I wanted better, and I know that we're capable of doing better, but at the same time, I understand that it was going to happen in peaks and valleys. We haven't had that breakdown, build-up process as a team. Guys are fighting for roles that might not be their roles in terms of what I think. And but we got a little window to really work on some stuff. And I think we can be a tough team to beat, because I would rather play really good teams and they show us what we need to work on and we do it and get prepared for playoffs than to take some teams that we could probably just outmatch in terms of what we have in skill, and we don't learn to grow. So, Orchard View is a good opponent, and they're playing great basketball this year. And the fun thing is we get to play them again before the playoffs, because they come to our place later. And so I'm just happy to be back, and hopefully we can put something together and do something special in the tournament. That's the goal.
So just tell our viewers, talk about your decision to, be the only school in Muskegon County to postpone fall sports and postpone the beginning of winter sports. What went into that decision?
Oh my God, I tell you what, Ben, it was a lot of meetings, it was a lot of conversations. Our higher level administration, we were working with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the language that we kept hearing that I think made us a little uncomfortable was allowed but not recommended. And so we had higher rates of COVID in our Muskegon Heights community in Muskegon County than in many other of the neighboring cities. And so it was a toss-up back and forth for a long time, because we understood the first through the door gets the bloodiest. But ultimately, I think the question was posed, can we guarantee that everybody's going to be okay? And at that time, like the rapid testing and the vaccinations and all of the things that we have now, we didn't have. And so we didn't really have the information to really say we're making sound database decisions. And so we had to make the hard choice. And it was so tough because the kids were scheduled to play like that week, and all of this, volleyball, football, everything. And so it was a lot of people really upset. But I think the foundation that we continually stood on is what did we believe to be in the best interest of the kids at that time, based on the spike in COVID, based on what we knew about how to protect ourselves with the vaccinations, with the rapid test. And now we're on our way back to school. We start back in-person school on the 15th of March. So, we only have like the varsity girls and the varsity boys because we're coming back in a hybrid form. And so I think our board was more on the line of we're moving back to school so we can move, back into sports and in a certain percentage. It wasn't everybody. It was middle school, the lower levels, and that kind of thing. But I believe that as we continue to expand our day-to-day school, the different sports will also expand because more people are getting vaccinations. We're getting data from surveys that administrators are sending out where people are wanting kids to come back in higher percentage numbers. And I feel like things are really going to just kind of fall back into place gradually, in this direction that we're moving in.
Even though you guys will only have 4 games in the regular season, you guys have a pretty favorable district with Muskegon Catholic, I think Holland Cavalry and Fruitport Cavalry Christian. What are some things you guys need to build on to be able to be ready for that and potentially win that district?
You know what? Number 1, conditioning. Number 2, discipline. Number 3, just attempting to give our best efforts on every opportunity that we get it. Those are the controllables. Sometimes the ball is going to go in on some nights, sometimes it won't. But if we're working hard, if we're listening to the coaches and giving our best effort and being disciplined to the system and accepting our roles as a part of the bigger picture, we can be successful. My thinking is that, and people talk about the missed games, but when you got a team like in basketball, it's the missed process. That process where you break down the coats who sit at the different lunch tables and talk about how I'm going to be the star. And you run the heck out of all of them, and then you make yourself the bad guy where they're sitting at the same lunch table talking about how terrible I am. But that's the first thing that they're doing as a team. And so these processes that are very necessary go undone in a situation like this, but we're going to give it our best effort.